All right, for assignment 8, we are going to add text to our spot illustration to turn it into a poster. Okay? You can think of it as a comic book cover. You can think of it as an album cover. You can think of it as a calendar page, whatever you want. A children's book layout. But what I want you to do is in Photoshop, I want you to take your JPEG Linework, open it up in Photoshop. So just very simple. And then I want you to increase the canvas size from 11 by 14 to 30 by 40 inches. 30 inches wide, 40 inches tall. Okay? And if you remember, we were doing this at 450 pixels per inch. Okay? That's just so you can start sketching. Then I want you to add a new layer. I don't want you to grow your image at all. Just give yourself lots of space, because some of you will need it, some of you won't. And then I want you to use your brush, and I would use blue line, because I'm old school. But I want you to block in where you think text would work. So first, I know I want my text to be Texas humility. And I want this to work as a sticker, as a t-shirt, as a Christmas card, whatever. So I'm thinking, where do I want Texas? I want Texas up here. Maybe I even want it running behind the antlers, right? Because when you're combining text and image, it's okay to have things overlap. They're all becoming graphic decisions. So this is called blocking text. Before you write the letters and decide what typeface they should be or what style they should be, I want you to know what space you think they should take up. So Texas and then humility. Maybe I want it in a banner kind of running across the back like this. And you can look at whatever inspiration you like of combining images and words. It can be tattoos, it can be book covers, it can be album covers, right? And then I want you to use your skills in compositing to play with it and tweak it. So for instance, I can transform just my blue lines. And I like the banner idea, but I need to stretch it in a way that makes sense and is readable. And you're thinking of how the space is used. So this I might stretch out. I like distort for blocking because you can kind of control the corners a little bit better. So figuring out, and this is a very graphic design based project, but figuring out how text should best go with your image is not started by just typing on your image, right? Or using text tools. It's first used by kind of blocking it in. And you can try multiple solutions. So I might try another one. I'll try it with a different color. What if I do instead like circles for each letter? So T-E-X-A-S, right? And then underneath I do block text in an underarch. Like that. Now when it comes to actually figuring out how the type will work, you can block out letters too, if you want. Basically give them each their space to make sure you can fit it all in. And I have never been one that's very good at hand lettering. That's a skill that some people have and some people don't have, right? But here we just want to use our sense of space. And the reason I want you to use your line work is I don't want you to let color affect your choices yet, right? We're not going to finish yet. We're just going for the look of it, the graphic appeal. And then I might decide to use one at the top and one at the bottom. What do I mean by that? It means I might want to use the circles, but might not want to use the under arch. So I can separate these things out. So I could try that solution. That allows me to kind of move things around differently. And again, this is why we study compositing first, because now we're using compositing as more of a design tool. And ultimately, we might decide, okay, we like it, but we want the image, like a duplicate of the image here. We want it to be bigger. And then another goal, of course, is that it remains readable. Pretty important. That whatever you do remains readable. Let me try one more combination here. And you can do this in your sketchbook. That's what I'm showing you. But if you can sketch just blocking digitally, you can try out a lot more options a lot more quickly. Oops. Yeah, I think I like this kind of arrangement. Let me just play with the bottom a little bit, squeeze it in. So this is called text blocking. And I'm going to distort the top a little bit. I don't want such a strong angle. And then I can squeeze it in again. I can warp the whole thing. It looks a little bit like a demonic smile, which I kind of like, but maybe I keep verticals at the edges of my arch to ground it a little bit more. Okay, I like that, where it's just under the wing, just under the nose, but above the halo. And then you can always erase, tidy it up. But whatever your sketch is, this is going to be the plan, the kind of layout that we bring into Illustrator before we build our type. All right, so that's step one. Texas, humility, with your image, figure out how much text. You don't want a ton of text, no more than 12 words, right? Definitely not. The fewer the better, the less aggravated you'll be. And take a lesson from good publications. If you're putting in a lot of words, make strong choices. So this is the world's greatest superhero, the amazing Spider-Man, right? You make a choice about which is strongest. And you definitely play with scale when you're blocking it out. But notice that this blocking is the same sort of blocking as the earliest Spider-Man comics, right? So how it works with the image is what you're deciding. Should it be angular? Should it be curvy? Should it be symmetrical? Should it be dynamic? It's important. Ideally, it should work even without an image, where your text is interesting on its own, even without an image, right? Doesn't need to always be in the exact same placement or proportion. So that's what you're going to play around with first, sketching for your text. And then that's where we'll start next class. Be sure to upload something for assignment 7 by midnight tonight. All right. So I'm going to save that as my assignment 8. Poster text sketch. Okay. And then you can crop it once you know you don't need all that extra space. You can crop it to what you think the poster borders are likely to be. Something like that maybe for me. In fact, I'll weight the bottom a little bit. Oops. So I'm going to give a little bit more space on the bottom, have it line up with the third lines. And that would be a nicer poster layout. All right. And that's it for just blocking out text to introduce assignment 8. The other thing, if you want, we're going to use a site called DeFont. It's all in the assignment sheet.
Yes. Use that website.
Yeah, it's a great website.
I was 14,
so they've just kept, they've built up lots of resources for free for designers to use. And you can start looking at ones that you might want to work with. Like this is a really cool one. It doesn't really fit my idea, right? We're not just going to steal one of their fonts. We're going to modify them, right? But it's always good to have something to start with. That's not just Times New Roman. So you can start looking and searching. Like I might look for Texas-inspired fonts.
Wait, papyrus!
Yes, and we'll look at the papyrus video next class, just so you can see. But like this is kind of nice. Texas slaughter, it's a nice little message.
Is this
This Texas tango one's quite nice. Just be aware of them. And then we'll download them.
I think Texas Troop fits yours.
And use some of it. Texas Troop could work well, like the little flanges they add her on. This looks a little Disney, which is interesting.
Kinda.
And we might use multiples, right? Texas Tango here is pretty nice.
And go over the specifics we need for next time, please.
All right, yes. So next time you just need a sketch that works with your existing spot illustration and tries to fit text around it in a way that's pleasing.
And it has to be what size paper?
Well, if you do it digitally, I just took the black and white line work that we turned in, and I made it 30 by 40 inches in the canvas size. I just basically gave myself a ton of space so that I could do what I needed with the text. And then I cropped it closer.
And we have to sketch the text?
Yes. So just sketch it by hand, whether you do it with the brush or whether you do it in your sketchbook. Okay. Advantages of doing it digitally is you don't have to redraw your spot illustration. You can just react to it. All right.